Welcome to aminacademy.com. In world history, let us discuss about the Israelites and ancient Israel. The Israelites, or children of Israel, were Semitic speakers who lived in Canaan and traced their descent back to Abraham through his grandson Israel. Hebrew tradition begins their story with Abraham departure from Ur in southern Mesopotamia. Abraham is the important in Jewish tradition. The Israelites, as described in Hebrew Bible, were the descendants of the patriarch Jacob, later known as Israel. Jacob's 12th son formed the 12 tribes of Israel after emigrating to Egypt under the leadership of Moses. They left Egypt and conquered the land of Canaan, forming the nation of Israel and Judah. When the kingdom of Israel was conquered by Assyria in 722 BCE, many people of the northern tribes were taken into exile. Others emigrated to Judah, while still others intermarried with colonists imported by the Assyrians. In the 6th century BCE, Judah was conquered by Babylon and many of its leading citizens were taken into captivity. Their descendants later returned and became known as Jews. The Israelites were highly influential in developing the idea of monotheism or belief in one God. Furthermore, they recorded their history orally at first until their tradition was written down in the Hebrew scriptures. Eventually, by the end of 2nd millennium BCE, likely between 1200 to 1000 BCE, the Israelites established a small kingdom in the Levant. The Levant refers to area adjacent to the eastern Mediterranean. In the ancient world, it comprised roughly the area from southern Anatolia through coastal areas of eastern Mediterranean, south and westward to the Egyptian delta. Israelites' kingdom were concentrated along the Mediterranean coast, in which are today Israel and the contested territory of the West Bank, Palestine. Early Israelites. The term ancient Israel is used by scholars to refer to the tribes, kingdom of dynasties formed by ancient Jewish people in the Levant, an area that encompasses modern-day Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria. Now, we'll discuss about monotheism. Monotheism is the belief in one God or oneness of God. It is one of the two major religious belief systems in the world, along with polytheism, which is the belief in multiple gods. In monotheism, Islam, Jewish, and Christianity following monotheism. Exodus. What is Exodus? The liberation of the people of Israel from slavery in Egypt in 13th century BCE under the leadership of Moses, also Old Testament book of the same name. The story of Exodus is told in the Quran in the following passages also. The Quran description of the Exodus includes a journey to a homeland, stories of miracles, lost fish story, mysterious figures, punishment as manifestation of God's fury, miracles as a way to show God's generosity, the motive of perpetual forgiveness. By leading people in early Israelites, by leading people out of Ur, his homeland in southern Mesopotamia, to eventually settle in Canaan, later called Palestine. Abraham began the traditional history of the Israelites. The tradition recounts how several generations later Abraham's grandson Israel, also called Jacob, in Arab it's called Dawood. Jacob, that in Arab it's called Yaqub, had 12 sons who became the ancestors of the 12 tribes of Israel. One of these 12 sons, Joseph, led followers from Canaan during a famine to settle in Egypt. As the biblical text describes, the Israelites were prosperous at first and were becoming powerful, leading the Egyptian Pharaoh to fear their influence. To try to stem the Israelites' influences, the Pharaoh put restrictions on births and forced them into slave labor. Then Moses, whose mother had secreted him away in a waterproof basket on the Nile River, played an important role in delivering his people from subjugations. According to Hebrew traditions, God trusted Moses with leading his people out of Egypt, a fight of freedom called Exodus. Moses led the children of Israel into Sinai, where they entered into the Sinai covenant. This covenant bound all Israelites into a pact with God. Israelites agreed to worship God alone and obey His law, while God confirmed the place of Israelites as His chosen people, whom the world protect. As part of the covenant, Israelites agreed to follow the Ten Commandments. According to this covenant bound all Israelites into pact with God. Israelites agreed to worship God alone and they obey His law, while God confirmed the place of the Israelites as His chosen places, whom He would protect. As part of the covenant, Israelites agreed to follow the Ten Commandments. According to Hebrew tradition, God gave the Ten Commandments to the Israelites at Mount Sinai, instructing the Israelites to worship only Him, keep the Sabbath, and honor their parents. The Ten Commandments also prohibit idolatry, blasphemy, murder, adultery, theft, dishonesty, and coveting. There are 10 commandments here. First one, I am the Lord your God. You shall not have strange gods before me. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember to keep holy the Lord's day. Honor your father and mother. You shall not kill. You will not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. You shall not covet your neighbor's goods. Next one, we'll talk about the United Kingdom of Israel. After Exodus, the Israelites resettled in Canaan and in time began to unify. They formed a kingdom in the Levant just prior to 1000 BCE. King Saul, a member of one of the 12 tribes of Israel, established the first Israelite monarchy, but ruled over a fairly limited territory and died in battle with the Philistines. He was crowned king and began the process of unification, but did not completely defeat his enemies and finished unification before he died. His son, King David, is often portrayed as Israel's greatest ruler or a model king. The established he established the United Kingdom of Israel with its capital at Jerusalem. King David's successor, his son Solomon, further shaped the kingdom. In popular memory, the King David is probably most remembered for defeating Goliath. Historical traditions also celebrate him for expanding the borders of newly unified Israel, contributing to the Book of Psalms and in Christian tradition. For being forebear of Jesus, David was a warrior king who defeated both internal and external enemies to unite Israel. He maintained a large standing army that helped extend his influence and create neighboring tributary states. With control of trade routes and tribute coming in from neighboring territories, Israel became a wealthy state under David. With this wealth, David began to build Jerusalem into the capital city of the Israelites with further plans to build a temple of house of Ark of Covenant, which according to Hebrew tradition held the Ten Commandments. David died before building this temple, but tradition credits him with other achievements, including composing many of the hymns and prayers in the Book of Psalms. Like Abraham, David is considered an important figure by Jewish, Christian, and Muslims. King Solomon, that is David's son, ruled mostly peaceful reign. He accomplished his father's goal of building the first Jewish temple in Jerusalem. The temple exemplified monumental architecture and became a focal point of the Jews of Jerusalem. Its ruins, known as the Western Wall or the Wailing Wall, are still a site of Jewish prayer and pilgrimage. Solomon also directed the building of a royal palace, a defensive wall around the city of Jerusalem, and fortresses along the kingdom frontier. Administratively, Solomon set up 12 districts overseen by purveyors who collected tribute in kind, usually as crops or foodstuffs. Each of the 12 districts was charged with supplying the king and the court for 1 month a year. Finally, Solomon used treaties and reciprocal trade agreements to maintain relatively peaceful relationship with Israel's neighbors. He also forged diplomatic relationship through marriage. After Solomon's death, he had been the United Kingdom of Israel split into two pieces, Israel and Judah. Over the long term, some of the Solomon's policies, including forced labor and tributary payments, likely contributed to the divide. After the decline of United Kingdom of Israel, Hebrew tradition describes the significance of the great prophets or teachers who spoke on behalf of God and set moral and ethical standards for the whole community. Yahweh, in Arab it's called Allah, sent these prophets to warn the Israelites that they were not abiding by their covenant. The prophets during this later period, especially Jeremiah and second Isaiah, cultivated a new conceptualization of the covenant, which was much more personal as it was a relationship between Yahweh and each individual. The Assyrian and later the Greeks and then the Romans brought part of the former United Kingdom of Israel under their rule. This conquest and persecution forced members of Jewish population into exile. This conceptualization of being members of diaspora, that is a scattered people who desire to return to their homeland, has played an important part in the formation of Jewish identity. Also, in part due to his history, preservation of cultural and religious heritage has become an enduring object of Jewish. The importance of Israel and ancient Israel. The Israelites and ancient Israel are important for several reasons, including religious legacy. The Israelites were among the first monotheists, but really first monotheist is in Islam, worshipping a single God named Yahweh. Their religious texts, such as the Hebrew scriptures, are the foundation of Judaism. The political ideas of the Israelites are found in the Hebrew Bible or Old Testament. The earliest known archaeological evidence of the Israelites is an Egyptian documents from around 1200 BCE. The Israelites established two kingdoms, Israel and Judah, after conquering the people who already lived in Canaan. Ancient Israel covered a much larger area than modern day Israel, including parts of modern day Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria. Jewish diaspora. The Jewish diaspora spread throughout the world after the final rebellion in AD 136. The modern state of Israel was established in 1948 with Jerusalem as its capital. By capturing cunningly other neighboring land. So far we discussed about Israelites and their kingdom. We have done. Please subscribe our YouTube channel.